it's just very strange to look at running backs as a whole be one of the lower paid positions in the NFL, because for the longest time, like, running backs were fan favorites, right? I mean, you go back even the early 2000s, like, everybody's favorite player on their NFL team was probably the running back. And it was a position that had a lot of fame, a lot of hype, a lot of fandom around it. And now all of this, a sudden, it's not like these guys are less talented today than they were 10, 20 years ago, certainly, 30, 40 years ago when they were truly running the sport. It's just that there's so many of them. And to me, that's what this conversation boils down to, is not the fact that these guys don't have value. It's not that they're not talented. It's just that there's so many talented backs. A lot of times, think about this. When I'm doing summer scouting research for any position for an upcoming draft class, I'm going through it right now on the NFL Stock Exchange podcast, I'll get to, like, edge rushers. And if you go back far enough in their football background, guess what they started playing when they started playing football? Running back. If you are athletic at all, you're probably going to get a shot at playing running back early on in your career in Pee Wee football, middle school football, junior varsity football, whatever it is. And if you're really good, you're going to stick with that. So because the running back position is the default upper echelon athlete position when you are coming through the game, that just means that if you're still really good at it, you're always going to get a shot at that position. And that has created a massive pool of talented running backs from high school to college to now the NFL level. And you get to this point where we talk about monetary value in a open capitalism, supply and demand kind of environment that the NFL operates under. And the market is, of course, going to go very far down because the supply is so far ahead of the demand. You look at quarterback, right? And you say to yourself, okay, how come all the quarterbacks make all this money? Well, yes, it's because the quarterback position is the most important position in the game, but it's also because the gap in talent between tier 1 and even tier 5 in the NFL is so exponentially different and greater on the tier 1 side that it's the scarcity of talent that puts that value up. So for running backs, the reason why I'm introing kind of my thoughts on it by saying that is because a lot of people were angry on social media. And I'm not one of these people who likes seeing running backs get underpaid. I want all these guys to make as much money as possible. It is a multi-billion-dollar industry. There is so much money going around. These guys could absolutely make more money for the sport that they champion and thrive and help make a worldwide game and all that stuff. But the league exists under a salary cap format. And with that being the case, with as much talent as there is at the running back position, and so not just within teams, but even guys who aren't on teams, that makes it really difficult for me to think that anything's going to change. All of the suggestions I feel like I saw last week, and we can run through them and we can break down some of them because I don't think any of them really hold a lot of value. The one that I saw that people were liking initially was, okay, well, what if we made running back contracts in the draft only 2 years or 3 years instead of like the 4-year or 5-year option? But then you think that's going to make teams want to pick running backs more? No, it's probably going to hurt them. So instead of becoming 2nd and 3rd round picks, running backs are probably going to become 4th and 5th round picks. And then that hurts their rookie contract. I saw Dominique Foxworth talk about this, and I don't fully understand it because it was a new concept that I had heard. But he talked about how there is money in, I believe it's an escrow account, where if you play above your rookie contract, so like if you play better than what your rookie contract is paying you, they take this money from escrow and pay you for it. But then again, people are saying like, oh, just like do that with running backs. Where do you think the money in escrow comes from? At least as far as I understand, because our owners just going to voluntarily put more money into an escrow account to pay running backs? No. If they felt like they should do that, they would just do that in their regular contracts. So I don't think that really solves it either.
The biggest problem to me that this faces is it's a one position specific problem, right? Running backs are getting screwed relative to every other position. And I had a little back and forth with friend of the show, Mina Kimes, on Twitter about this. It's possible to feel sorry for running backs, empathize with their plight. And all of these guys on the Zoom call, there's going to be a kind of degree of mocking done that they're all unionizing on Zoom, getting this done. I get it. I understand why these guys are frustrated, and I do feel sorry for them. I think as a position, they are getting hosed right now because it's as physical a position as exists in the NFL. It's as attritional a position as exists in the NFL in terms of how hard they have it. They have it as hard as any position in the NFL physically, and their value is going down relative to any other position. So by definition, they're kind of getting hosed here, and you can feel for them, but you can separate that, I think, from saying, well, this is a fundamental wrong that shouldn't be happening, because from data, from information, it is a position that has been overvalued in the past, and the market is correcting within this closed environment of the salary cap. And where the difficulty comes is saying, well, okay, let's fix it. They're getting underpaid. Let's make sure they get more money. If the NFLPA wants to come out here and fix this, they have to devise a solution that is applicable only to running backs. And the NFLPA already has its hands full just trying to argue things that are helpful to all of the players. You could make a pretty compelling argument that the NFLPA has lost in terms of negotiations to the NFL with, almost every subsequent CBA. They don't get everything they want. They miss out on certain things. They get this franchise tag stuck on the league, all these things. And that's while trying to make things better for everybody. They're not going to sacrifice something significant for every other position to get a specific running back carve out done somewhere, which is what I think probably needs to happen in order to fix anything. So that's their single biggest problem that they're facing, in my opinion, is that any solution to this that I've seen suggested necessitates a one position carve out, which I just never see that getting on the agenda in terms of negotiating, because that's not what the NFLPA does.
Yeah, because again, I want to make it clear, I'm not trying to keep running backs down. I don't want that to be the case. I think you and I are very much on the same page. It sucks watching a position that takes so much of a beating in a very physical and violent game. These guys can't get rewarded really for their talents, because when you look at the timeline of running backs, let's talk about before NIL, right? High school football, you ain't getting paid. College football, okay, people can say, yeah, you're getting paid under the table to come to that school, but still, you're not really getting paid contract-wise, or at least anything that's out in the open negotiable, to be able to make money off of real money off of what you're doing at the college level. And then when you get to the NFL, you get drafted, and certainly in today's age, it's a capped, controlled contract that you get as your first contract, even if you're a first-round pick all the way down through seventh-round pick. So essentially, you don't even get to negotiate what you're worth until that contract is up, which you're probably 24, 25, 26 years old at that point. You've probably been playing the running back position since you were 12 years old, so you've probably been playing it for over a decade. So many carries, so many hits, so much mileage, if you will, on the tires. And that's the first time that you can really negotiate what your talent's worth. And oh, by the way that contracts work is teams aren't looking to reward you for what you already did. They're looking to pay you for what you're about to do. So knowing that the average NFL career for a running back is so much shorter than it is for other positions because of the physical toll that you take, yeah, that timeline really sucks for running backs. But I just don't know. I hope we find a great solution someday. I don't know what that is right now with things structured the way that it currently is, with the salary cap existing in the sport and with supply and demand being the motivating factor for where a lot of these contracts go. It's because there's just too many good running backs. There's just too many good running backs out there.